Okay, what's going on, guys? We've got the tactics review, first one of the year of TUGA. Currently, right now, top 5 players in the Pro Championship was around like top 3 in a Pro ladder right now. This is his 4-5-1, which actually is a great formation this year. As usual, the codes will always be on my website first, and I'm also going to go through some gameplay. I'm going to show you my code of my adjustments for you, the casual player, which I'd recommend because at the end of the day, TUGA is a pro player. He's got advanced forward on the striker, pretty much what we've been seeing across the board really here. Inside forward for both the left mid and right mid, and then you pack out the midfield. Now I think for defending, I think this is actually a really good option because most people are struggling defensively, and then you have a flat line of 3 all sitting deep. So I think defensively, you're very much in shape. You can see you got one box to box, one deep line playmaker defend. That's the player that's going to be staying back. So when you do go forward in an attacking shape, as you can see, you got one player that's sitting back. So you got a box to box. I could do a bit of everything. I got Calchari, but probably going to do something like this. But because Gayora's got a plus, I'm going to leave it on that side. But either one could do equally well. Actually, you know what? We'll leave Calchari just there, and we'll put out the playmaker attack. But yeah, playmaker attack. Very, very interesting. Not roaming, anything like that. Just playmaker attack. The fullbacks are both of them on balance. Defend for the defenders, and the goalkeeper is on defend as well. And that's the code if you want to copy it. He's on a balanced build-up start, and he's got a depth of high. So let's go into a gameplay, and I want to show it to you, and then I'm going to tell you my changes at the end. Go straight into the game. Now, one thing I wanted to mention to you, and of course from my experience, the way I know this plays, a 4-5-1 is a very slow formation. Now, if you're actually struggling with the game, maybe you're rushing too much, this could be a formation for you because it really kind of forces you to play a bit more slower than a traditional sense. Now, when we lose the ball, look, you can see the number one thing is we don't have CDMs. This is one thing that I do worry about this formation. Nice goal. Oh, should have been a nice goal. This is what I worry about with this formation. You can see at the bottom of the screen on the radar, you've got 3 players narrow in the middle. But one thing that I do fear is with the lack of CDMs, players that are not at TUGA's level are going to struggle with this formation. But attacking sense is fantastic. You've got the fullback on balance. You've got the midfield 5. You're going to overpower most midfielders there. But you see you got that deep line playmaker. And then you got the Calchari as the playmaker plus. So you can see with the midfield 3, you can very easily that you can even trigger your deep line playmaker defend. And you've got those runners using in behind. There's no doubt that TUGA with his skill was able to get those high ranks. Now, I honestly truly believe that this is a really good formation, but I feel like it's going to be a bit more slower to play. So what I recommend is maybe even consider using counter. We're going to make some changes towards the end of the video. I've kind of got a bit of my thoughts on what I'm thinking I'm going to change, but we'll go over that as well. But have a look here. So you can see, look, a lot of it is supplemented by me. I'm using a lot of L1 triggers. I'm using player lock as well. I'm doing this myself. I'm not relying on a game to do it for me. That's the key difference. When you're a bit more passive, unless I don't do any L1 triggers, you can see my striker is very much look at Alvarez. He's very much isolated. Yeah, we can see Guerrero, but there's no one really next to him. Unless I use him, let's do like a 1-2 with the, the inside forward there, and I get a bit of a combination play. Just to give you a bit of an example, you can see that player is kind of left by himself. The inside forwards, they come inside, so they do help you on the attacking sense, and helps clog up the midfield per se. That's what you saw Simeone making that run early on before. And this is one thing I worry about. You see no CDMs. You got that deep line playmaker defend. You see that on that center mid. It's helping a little bit come back. And you can see again here on the counter attack, we've got the playmaker plus, which many of you guys might not have a playmaker. But you see Alvarez by himself. So you have to be able to hold up the play or do some sort of player lock to be able to get that player in behind. So these are some things you got to take into consideration. I'm not going to touch control for a second. Have a look at how high the 4-5-1 is sitting. You see that? So you can see, look, one pass, just like in real life, if you defend in a very straight, rigid line, one pass can tear you apart. So you have to be very proactive with this formation, not only in terms of attack. I think you have to do a lot of L1 triggers. You got to be really patient. But when you got the runners like that, you see that Guerrero? So you see that with Guerrero there, she was perfect. She was able to run into that gap on the left-hand side. This is why I like showing you these kind of gameplay, just so I can show you a bit of a sense of what this formation feels like. And that is where, for example, something like the box to box really comes in play, because you got the movement. I'd recommend high sprint speed here, and that's where the inside forwards help. But as you can see, when you're out of possession, that player doesn't really come back and help you as a CDM would. So it doesn't give you that stability that you would normally get from like a 4-2-1-3 or even a 4-3-3 with one CDM holding. But I'm probably thinking I'll probably change this to a 4-1-4-1. Very similar formation on paper. We'll go towards that over the end of the video. But at least that way you got that CDM, just at least one player that sits deeper. Because look, if you're going to defend like this, you can see I'm running back with Mariona here. You see that? But if I let go of Mariona, look, I'm just going to let go of her, push her up manually. See, she doesn't sit deep. But even on deep line playmaker, have a look. She's not doing anything. You see her. Look at her midfield. She's not doing that much. So a lot of it is going to be reliant on you to bring those players going back. Now, same with the build-up. You're going to have to rely on a lot of player locks, first time through balls and stuff like that. And you're going to be patient. Otherwise, the best thing to do is use your fullbacks. Use your fullbacks and wait for that player to overlap. So what I'll do is I trigger a fullback, for example, like so. Then I got that player making an additional run. And you can send them back like that if you want to keep it safe. Or you can bring them forward into the attack. Now, of course, you bring them forward. We do know that this game is a counter-attack fest. You can see here with no CDMs. You can't even use... Normally, I would use a CDM to kind of fill in the pocket for that lost player. But you can see very, very easily. Of course, I wasn't defending properly. But even if I tried to defend that, it would probably still be a very good chance from the opponent. You can see it was very easy to strike through me. So you have to be very wary. Have to be good at defending for you to be able to capitalize on the attacking opportunity. Because again, I'm just going to show you again. If I trigger this player going forward, you can see my opponent's playing, let's say, a 4-2-1-3. We know that's a normal formation everyone's using. If I lose the ball here, and normally what I do is I sink my CDM, but my CDM sits so far away. So I'll have to go early, then I have to run across, then I have to use teammate contain and manually defend a situation, and then close the gap. That will be the correct way of defending it. And you can see it's a bit more challenging than you think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bit of a change here. I'm going to go here with the 4-1-4-1, go absolutely identical here. That's a nice play. That is one of the few benefits of this formation. It's really that build-up play. It forces you to play slower, be a bit more smart with your play, do a lot more 1-2s. I would say it's a very good formation to slow you down. But if you're sitting here, maybe you're not the elite level yet, and maybe you're not the Division 7 player, maybe you're a Division 5 or Division 4 player right now, and you just want to slow down your gameplay, maybe you're being too hastily aggressive, then this could be definitely a system for you. Now, the high depth, you do sit a bit higher. Yes, you can drop the depth if you want to, but I feel like with a 4-5-1, with a lack of CDMs, you do need a high depth, and I think you can win the ball back, as you can see with the goal that we just scored. But if you trigger, like, see that L1 trigger there? Now, that difference over there is a difference between an L1 button and not an L1 button. I'm just going to show you here. We're going to go to the highlight reel. There's instant replay. Okay? So you see Karchawi. When she was there, she was doing nothing on Playmaker++. I pressed the L1 button, and then Karchawi made that run in the middle. So she made this run over here. So Karchawi made this run all the way like that when I triggered her. If I never triggered her, she would never have made that run into that area and beat that defender. So do you see the importance of triggering the player, how important it is? And that's why I feel like this formation is either elite tier, but I would say mid tier. I would say if anyone's new to this game, I would not recommend this formation. I think with a lack of CDMs, but it can help you. But I'm going to make a bit of a change at halftime, and we're going to go through the changes. So the changes I would make is I would keep the exact same system, but what I would do instead is go with a 4-1-4-1. Because at least this way, you have that stability. So we're going to put inside forward here. We're going to keep everything else the same. We're going to put this player on a playmaker. Like this. And then we're going to put this player on a box-to-box. And then this way, deep line playmaker defend. And you can see we're going to use the exact same system. Now, I probably would recommend counter-attack here. But I just want to show you just the striking difference with that one CDM is going to make. And that's why I feel if you play, for example, a 4-3-3, this could be a really nice formation for you. But you can see, look at that one CDM, okay? Now, that one CDM when we're out of possession is going to make a big difference. So you can see here, I'm just going to defend normally. I'm just going to kick the ball out of play. And what I'm going to do is actually here, I'm going to say with Guyoro, she hasn't actually got a roll ++. So she might be a good example of someone that maybe doesn't. Don't forget, the roll ++ effectively is for the in possession, okay? But she'll sit deeper. But let's say from a defensive phase, you will see her defense positioning is decent. Defense awareness, I think is 80. But there's nothing crazy. So you're not going to see some crazy positioning from her. But you can see, look at her inside the box. You see that? You see her. She's next to the penalty spot. You might have to rewind that. But you see how closer she is to my defensive line that I can switch to her when a situation is available. You can see everyone's using this Claudina Pina. This player is actually a decent player, but just needs to focus a bit more on the basics. But like you see, like here, Watch Gyero, okay? She's gonna go forward. Watch Gyero. She's gonna halt there. Watch, she'll halt there. She's not gonna go forward anymore. Now just keep watching Gyero. She's by the center circle, right? So she sits back. Do you see? So if I need to pass the ball away, she's that emergency player. She's that safety net. And that's the key benefit, because these two players are going to be going forward. You know, both of these players, whether I trigger them or make those runs going forward. But the benefit is I can always still trigger Gyero if I need her. You see, like if I need her there, I can trigger her. But you see a normal pass, look, she goes back and she holds that position. So this for me would be the exact same system, but I'll have a bit more of a safety net. So this is a system that, and have a look on the radar. You can see where Gyero is. She's naturally much deeper, so I can easily switch to her and then defend the situation without sweating. So I can defend the situation without worrying. I can also equally go forward and know that, okay, if I lose the ball, worst case scenario, Gyero is there, that I could always switch to her and cover for that role. Now, in my tactics list, we literally don't have any tactics here, so it's actually the first one. So where would I put it? Well, it's got to be in there regardless, right? But what I probably would do is I would make the change of a 4-1-4-1. Okay, and then what I would do is I would go a deep line playmaker, and then I would go defend, and then keep box to box, and then what I'll do is do one on playmaker like that, one inside forward, and at least that way you're playing. So that way you don't have to use another player on holding. You'll be fine because you've got one player that's a CDM that sits deeper. So basically is effectively a 4-3-3 with two players going forward. So in some ways it can be more attacking than the 4-4-1-1 in some ways. Midfield is what I'm talking about, because you got those deep runners. So if you want those, I think that's the things you got to look for. These deep runners, you got to trigger those players. That's what I'd recommend. And then what I'll do is the height. Now I think I would go counter, unless you really want to play slow. You can adjust this. Now what I'm going to do with the height is I want to reduce this. I'm going to reduce the line height to just 50 or 60, because I think balance is probably a bit more balanced. No, but you see with high, I have a fear that people would probably struggle a lot more with high. So at least go to the highest balance you can go with, and then you can always put it into highs. That would be the code Zulu hashtag capital Lima 9er capital Mike capital Bravo uniform 7 9er X-ray Foxtrot capital Echo. Don't forget, if you want to get better FC26, you can come join my Patreon series. We are still uploading videos we are going to for the rest of the year. We just filled in defending videos. We got the new player lock video as well coming, and some of the new meta mechanics that's going to be updated as well. And we updated some of the squads. So if you're looking for the cheap gauntlet teams, you can lose some of. Well, I got actually a squad for every single main division, so you can use one of those. And we've got more videos coming as well. Don't forget to check it out, patreon.com/nilguides. If you don't get better after 1 month, we will refund your money. That's the Nil Guides guarantee. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time.